Alright, folks, welcome back to Call of the Wild the Angler. Let me get over here and click on the screen again. So I haven't even looked to see who's active where. It should be the catfish here. So, oops. Let's go nighttime. Nighttime in the switching yard. I'm offline, I am. Now I'm online, I am. Syncing time to server. Don't tell me there were no available slots. Welcome to whoever joined. I'm getting ready to go to the menu for a second and go to the official Discord and look at which fish are at. I know it's the catfish here. I just need to see where it is. Stand by, please. Let's see, gallery. Alright, so where is she? Here's the dam. Oh, okay. Oh, I got it. I do. Oh, this way. Water looks cool. Yes, sir, Dawnbreaker. Ooh. Ooh. Can I borrow your storage? Nope. I can't. Alright. Let's do that again. We'll drive down to. Just in case we needs it. Actually, we only really need to spawn it here. Alright. Now, go to boat. Go, you'll go boat. Most people will be like, why didn't you go ahead and check if you have what you need? Be like, me, I've spawned what I needed. So if I don't have what I needed, I can quickly and easily get what I needed. It's all good. Relax. Pretty sure I got everything anyway. Should still have a 4-aught. I might have taken those jigs out. We'll check. Look at all the boats over here. They look like they're fishing for it there. I hear the little African ice cream truck. Mm. Gonna has to be a 3-aught. Eh. Well, for now it's gonna have to be something smaller till we. Eh. What the? There we go. We'll do that till we go back and get it. Not a problem. Storage. Excusez-moi. Oh, the 4-aught is with me. Aight. Aha. Dadgummit. hear the African ice cream truck again. That's a good sign. Seen that can't shoot in here before. Maybe Dave Cope. I don't remember. Seems familiar. Cause it's a long way to Richmond. 208.3 feet to be exact. Halfway there though. So it ain't that far. Well, that sure is a pretty song you got there, African Ice Cream Truck Mermaid Magoo. Crew. Hey, kitty, kitty, kitty. I got money on the string for some ice cream. post-war candle cut it across there. It don't cost nothing to be nice. It's weird. Trip killer, it said, was in here. I came in and all of a sudden he's not. That gummy. Got very loud there. I need some Scent Man spray to spray on it so the mermaid, the siren, thinks it's chasing something good. Dude's got a glowing skeleton outfit. Several of them do, it looks like. Oh. My worm's not worthy. That's what she said. I'm just trying something. I've been told you don't have to let it sink all the way to the bottom as long as you jig it from all the way out there. Even though it says it's a bottom lurking fish. We're just testing a theory here. First one was goose egg. Yeah, I think I'm gonna let it sink again. I mean, that was only two casts, but I ain't buying it. It works with pike and muskie on jerkbait on the surface. You don't have to let it sink. But I mean, I don't know what this legendary fish in this deeper water is a bottom lurker. If she could even see that at night at the top. It is a full moon, but that's reaching a lot. try not jigging, just reeling a little bit at a time. don't hear it. don't think it's good that we're not hearing the song anymore either. I'm going back where we were. See, the music's over here. A lot deeper though. Somebody else coming over. They're like, he's moving. Maybe I should. Bail it, bail it, bail it, bail it, bail it. Take forever to sink to the bottom. Come on, fish. Get it done. First cast though coming over here probably won't. Hopefully second or third. But sometimes not. We are casting towards that deep channel though, so I wonder if it's to my left where that dark comes to a point. but still deep. Music sounds a little louder too. The old Great Marianas Trench here. No, it ain't near that deep, thankfully. Not enough. That'd be a heck of a reel to hold enough line. Lord knows if you got strong enough line for whatever might actually live down there. Or if your boat's basically just a bobber for it. That would suck. That's why I don't mess with the ocean. They say we know like only 10% of the ocean dwelling species in the world because it's so vast. And some of it's so deep that we can't reach or explore. And I know the 10% that we do know, a lot of those are known not only necessarily to eat humans, but can just kill you, like getting stung by jellyfish or sea snakes or electric eels. You know, it doesn't have to be eaten. It can just kill you in the ocean, let alone the ocean itself, the tide and the current, and that it's say salt. Can't drink it. Get dehydrated out there on the ocean with nothing to drink. You're in massive trouble. Sure, you can catch rainfall, but that means you got to go through possibly storms to catch rain. I don't mess with the ocean. If I was supposed to mess with the ocean, I'd have fins and gills and bigger teeth. Music is louder. I don't think I'm imagining that. It seems louder to me here. And it makes sense that they put it towards that point so that you have a reference. By the way, no pressure, but 29 minutes for a daily test. It's like I ain't even caught the legendary or any fish. No problem. Some days you eat the bear, some days the bear eats you. Thankfully, it's just a game. Mini fridge. I'm getting ready to make me an espresso real quick. As soon as this gets in, matter of fact, I'm gonna stand up to go do it right now. I shall MacArthur return, that is. Alright, that'll be a minute so we can get another cast in. I don't really hear the music now. Oh yeah, I do. Alright. Alright, I had to get the cream and sweetener in it, so when it was done, it was ready. Yeah, kitty. Don't be scared of me worm. And the way I wiggle it. I not only hear that thing streaming and dripping in there, I smell it. That espresso smells good. And it's strong. It says medium, but it's Black Rifle Coffee Company brand, and it's pretty strong. Need a little pick me up. Maybe if I stop hitting the turning on the room moisturizer so much, wouldn't need to pick me up. First time I caught this fish, it was pretty quick. Then, the first 5 or 6 casts. And I didn't even realize that was what I was hearing, was that siren song. I just heard it and was like, what is that, an ice cream truck? That's why I keep joking about it. lazy wench, come on. Wow, the lake's getting deeper. Falling into that trench. There we go. That's so sick. Cool, there's my espresso finishing. Make it swim fast for it. Lucky I don't put it on 6. Be right back. Just gotta pour and stir. Oh yeah. Phew. One sip of that. Fuel. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. And in this moment, that's espresso. And this stupid fish. I'm gonna try one more thing. Just wanna see if I can hear the music there. Where the bookmark was. 'Cause that's where the dude caught it when I went to look. I'm gonna say no. That's a negative. No. We hear it back here where we work. Near the tip of that. I already faintly hear it, even with the motor. Oh, no, I don't. Uh-oh. You broke it. This is about where we were. I think I do hear it again, but not very well. There we go. Well, one hopefully good thing is the music looks or sounds louder looking this way. I'm sure you can start to hear the fade in my voice. It's like bedtime for a normal working night. My body's like that, even though it's Saturday and it's supposed to be a day of rest, just like Sunday. My body's like, I'm tired. We worked hard today. No, we didn't. No, we did not. We did do some stuff, but no. Hence the espresso. Fish is getting on my nerves. My dog is so cute over on my bed. I just feel like going over there and snuggling with her. She's a sweetie. She's laying right up by my pillow too, waiting on me because she knows it's bedtime too. Normally, that's funny. Even the dog's body is routined. She looks mighty comfy over there though. Come on, man! All these people catching gold. You stupid fish. I'm giving up going and knocking my dailies and weekly most of the way to the weeklies out just to catch this fish. It's too late now though, 'cause it goes off in 1 or 2 minutes. We'll be changing. Come comfy over there, little missy. You look mighty comfy, girl. Old snuggy buggy. I can't believe she's gonna be 10 on the 21st. That's crazy. Her gotcha days the easiest to remember. I brought her home 12, 13, 14. Oh, no, I don't. I just wanted the bail to open. Oh, phooey. Let's try this again. This time without the derp. Smallmouth bass gold, spotted bass diamond. Nice, nice. I mean, you said liver, minnow, dog biscuits. I think something else too. Oh, red worm or something. Let me check that. See if that's accurate. Yep. Third thing in the list. Or fourth thing, my bad. Match blend is first. Man, the music's loud now. I hope that means you're about to bite my hook, you stupid fish. Don't be scared of my incredibly huge worm. I mean, it is the biggest in the game. The 4-eye. Excuse me. Had a Jimmy Dean sausage biscuit for dinner and that thing talking back to me. Sausage always does, though. Bacon, too, but not near as bad. Local Mennonite store I go to and shop at, they got those things for 99 cents a piece. You can't beat that anywhere. You can't even get sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit at McMuffin at McDonald's anymore for 99 cents. So you can get a sausage biscuit for that. But that's it. And it's a biscuit, not a McMuffin. Or a muffin, you know what I mean. No, it is called a Mc. It's called a McMuffin there. It's called a English muffin, is what I'm trying to say. It was a little bit cheaper than that, even if you buy it by the case. I bought the 24 pack for $23.97. That's still cheaper than, well, no, actually, I guess not. It seems like that's a little more expensive. It's still cheaper than $1 a biscuit, though, no matter how you cut it. And in this economy, I'm all about deals. So that place also has locally grown or locally raised and processed chicken. You can get fritters or nugget style breaded, and it's like some of the best. I'm telling you, when you cook it in the air fryer, it is better than, like, I don't know if you have Raising Canes in your area or anything like that, but it's better than any chicken strips or nuggets you can get at any restaurant, even a fine restaurant. Perfectly crisp on the outside and so tender and juicy, like quality white meat on the inside, not nasty nuggets like the fast food ones with gristle and stuff in it. Yeah. Parts is parts. You got to be so old to remember those commercials back in the late 80s and early 90s. Talking about, I think it was Wendy's talking about having pure chicken breast tenders where everybody else just blends all the parts. And they were like, well, parts is parts. Yeah, I'm that old. Born in 1970. I'll be 54 in November. So, but I mean, in dog years, she'll be 77 here on the 21st. That's crazy to me. Her brother Prince, I had to put him down in May. He had cancer real bad, really, really bad. Worse than anything I've ever seen. It was grotesque what it did to him, and the way it withered him to nothing but when he stopped eating. Anyway, he was 12 and would have been 13 in November, but boy, do I miss that boy. That was my favorite little stripy guy ever. He was a brindle colored pit bull and greyhound of all things mixed. That boy loved to run when he was young, and he was so fast. He would pass the deer on the side of the mountain here, and he wasn't about hurting them at all. It was all about the run and the chase. He thought they were playing a game. He would pass them. They would come to a slide and stop and like turn direction, and then he would realize and get this big derpy smile as he come to a slide and stop and turn and start running that direction. The whole time I'm yelling, "Get back here!" He never hurt anything. Well, not until possums and cats for some reason. I tried to rescue a mother cat and her kittens. Well, two different litters. The first ones grew up and were fine. You know, I was able to keep him separated from them. The second ones, God bless. I did everything in my power to keep. You know, the dogs were on chains when they go outside, and the cats were raised in the garage over on the other side of the house. So I kept them separated, you know, where dogs couldn't even reach that. But the cats are so freaking stupid. They would run right through, or try. You know, and like I said, he was pit bull and greyhound. To him, that's a game. So you're not going to outrun him even in his chains reach, let alone Abby's, the female, which is from there over to the side of the house the garage is on, even though her chain couldn't reach the garage. At any rate, a lot of them died that way. And he got the mama cat because she was so sweet and trusting that I literally think, well, it happened before I could even get to him. But I think she tried to like meow to him and be friends and didn't realize that he just doesn't want to be your friend. Anyway, that was the worst thing that dog ever did was hurt cats. I didn't care about the possums so much because the possums were trying to come in my garage where the cat food was, and the worst part is they were trying to make nests in there and run the cats off. So when he caught them outside, good on you. Or a couple times I let him in the garage when the possum was being stubborn and abstinent and wouldn't leave the kennel crate I had out there for the mama cat when she had kittens. So I let him scare it out of there and get that one. And good grief did he ever. Anyway, I miss that boy big time. Other than that, as far as a social bug with people, man, I never met anybody that didn't like Prince. I called him the Prince of Dogness. Anyway, he tried to love everybody. And even people that didn't really like dogs that much liked Prince. Because he just had that kind of personality with people. He'd win you over pretty quick. And especially women. He was a traitor to me. You can tell that before my mom and sister found him in Dallas, they had to give him to me because of the way he was with her cats. Even as a puppy, at 4 months old, he was not real gentle or nice with the kitties. So it wasn't a can stay there kind of thing. And all my old dogs were almost all passed anyway, from 2 generations of border collies we raised. My sister had one of those. That was Prince's first mentor, was the male from the 2nd generation, and when he moved here, his main mentor, Daddy-O, was the last of the 1st generation of my border collies. He outlasted all of them, both generations. Anyway, you could tell that a man had been mean to him because he took right to my sister and mom, and he took right to me too, because dogs and babies are the best judge of character you'll ever find. And he knew right away that my heart was genuine. I knew when I saw him, I fell right in love with that dog. He was a goofy little playful, exactly the kind of dog I like. Playful and goofy, but also obedient and kind, and like I said, just wants to love and be around people and, you know, get that kind of attention and love back. But anyway, you could tell he'd been abused by men because he wasn't as trusting with other guys as he was with me, you know, initially. But he would try. You know, like he was apprehensive. He'd put his ears back submissive and had those real cute big eyes, but also side-eyeing you like, are you going to be nice to me? As he would approach a guy to try to see if he was going to be nice. With women, you know, girls are bubbly, and if they like dogs, they don't even, you know, a lot of them don't even realize they're putting that vibe off in the first place. And he was a cutie anyway. So when they were all bubbly and like, oh, look at him, you know, and he knew it was genuine, he was automatically like a freaking clown, dude. I promise you, that dog. I was like, really? You don't even do that with me. He would just start showing off and just putting his best clown act on, trying to get those girls to give him the more attention they gave him, the crazier he got. Oh my gosh. Little traitor. He'd turn his back on me and go with a chick in a second. He would have. No, oh, look at the common carp diamond. Good job, old hippie. I'm gonna type it, but I don't even know if he can see it. If he's on console, he can't. Oh, and I can't type until my line's in. It's the thought that counts. Lead by example. Like I said, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. If he's on computer, he can see it, but if he's on console, they can't see what you type because they're not able to type. So they don't even though it's crossplay, they don't even show them that. Only the generic ones that you get with the little icon that I've been doing, the well done and what a catch and all that good stuff. Which I think is goofy. Oh yeah, he just started a new challenge that reminded me. Thank you, dude. No, just innies. That's all we're doing. But not any weeklies. Except the weight and the silver. Not catching 30 and 40. Mm-mm. I can't even get the one to bite. Oh, now it's dog biscuits. I wonder if I have the shad that'll fit this. I don't think I do, though. I'm pretty sure they. Well, let's see if this one will, though. Shad is the very last thing. But oops. You big dummy. Yes, I do have the shit. Thank you. I'm just gonna try it. Been casting this worm like crazy, and that's what other people showed that they caught it with. That's what I caught it with the last time, but it ain't biting it. Got to try. Funny thing is, that's how I caught my first diamond lake trout at Golden Ridge. Was I was like, well, they like the yellow shads. It says they like crankbait, which is the very last thing in the list. And or maybe yeah, that's what it was. Anyway, I tried that, and it was with the 3-aught yellow, like the shad, crankbait, and daggone if that sucker didn't nail it. And it was a 66 or 64, whatever my record is, the biggest one I've caught. But I've caught numerous ones. Not with the crankbait. I only caught one of the diamond and a couple golds with the next one down, but they really do like the yellow ones better. I think the next one down is the number one. And I caught a bunch of silvers with it, but I caught a gold as well. It's crazy that they'll even hit that. Anyway, so that doesn't mean that the shad being the last one in this one's list, that it won't hit it. If it's in the list, it should hit it. But the worm was higher up on the list and it wasn't hitting it, so you know, who knows? Fish till we catch the daggone thing. But it's got to be on a jig because it's 129 pounds and this 99 is the strongest thing you got in the game. So if you're smart, you're going to catch it with this. Just be patient till you do. I wouldn't want to catch it with the 60 something pound bottom rig. I mean, it'll do it, but I ain't trying to be here for 35, 40, 45 minutes. If I wanted to do that, I'd go fish down the river and catch a big catfish in real life. Big 40 pounder. That'll take you 35, 40 minutes to get in. If he doesn't snap you first on something. And there's plenty of blues and flathead out there. If you got some live bluegills or green sunfish, red ear sunfish, anything like that, little rock bass, they will absolutely destroy it. They prefer live bait. Problem is, from all the flooding over the past couple decades, I've lived here for 29 years, almost 3 decades, but over all the floods from the smaller rivers that dump into this river, we've got so many gar now, and they don't even eat the bait. They just come along and shred some meat off of it and kill your stupid fish, and or make it go off the hook to where the catfish see the hook, there's only like a piece of a head left or something. The catfish can see the hook and they won't bite it. I hate those gar. Anyway. They're annoying like that. And they're technically invasive to this river, so. They have pretty much devastated the natural game and bait fish. Like when the bass spawn and the American shad spawn, it's hard on them with all the gar in there. It's already hard on them with the regular, native species of fish that eat the fry, as they call them, baby fish, minnows. But even smaller than minnow fry. Anyway, you add gar into the equation and it's just hard on an ecosystem. And in other places, it's other things. Like when we were doing the Coast Guard project in the Northeast, they have that, I think it's called a lamprey eel. And that thing is invasive, and they latch onto the side of the fish, and they have like a spiral mouth of teeth. And they sit there and just suck on the fish until it bores a hole in the side of them. And if it doesn't kill them, which it does most, they get some bad infection, and then it's just not good on the ecosystem. Anyway, in other places you got those Chinese snakehead or whatever they are, and the Chinese carp that jump and hit people in their boat as their boat. It's funny to watch, but at the same time you can tell that could be really dangerous. I saw a dude get knocked out of the boat. It was more from panic. The fish hit him hard and knocked him back, but him flinching almost caused the whole boat with 3 or 4, I think it was 4 people in that. It was probably like a 16 or 18 foot john boat. It was big. But it almost flipped it over. And he did go over, and they were down in the southeast, like in gator water. So it's like not a place to be falling out of a boat, man, and splashing around. That's what a big old bull gator, even a female, 15-footer, that's what they're looking for. Look like a big old hog because he was a big old boy. He did have his life jacket on and they got him back in the boat, but it was just like the thought of it for me. It's like, nah, I don't mess around in gator water either. I said I don't mess around in the ocean, but in freshwater, I don't mess around. I live in Virginia, obviously. I'm the Virginian. And thankfully, our waters get cool enough. A lot of them stay cool enough that it's. Now, don't get me wrong, in southern Virginia, in the Great Dismal Swamp, that's about where the gators start. And from there south, like to the Gulf Coast. And don't let them lie to you and tell you that gators don't swim in salt water, because I've got pictures of them swimming up onto the beach on coastal waters where rivers dump into the sea. I've also got pictures of crocodiles, saltwater crocodiles, in southern Florida down near the Keys. My dad lived in Marathon, and at the boatyard they lived in, right there in that canal, that water's like swimming pool water for as far as you can see out, and the sand is white, so it's like you can see everything, every piece of coral, everything that moves, every fish, everything, because it's shallow for a good ways out too. And they came right up in the mangroves right there and were trying to eat these white, I think they were egrets. They were some kind of bird like a crane or an egret. But I think they're called snow egrets. Anyway, they were trying to sneak up on them like a gator does too, but they were definitely crocodiles. I got pictures of that. I was like, holy crap. Because they'd had to cross vast ocean, to come from where saltwater crocs are known to live in the oceans, and especially like Australia, New Zealand, all those places. Papua New Guinea, where my mom was a missionary, they had saltwater crocs. Anyway, people don't think they can be in, at the coastal waters of the U.S. They can, and they are down there. The water is warm enough and hot, or hot enough, better said, that it sustains them, and they probably just follow currents and smells of like maybe a decaying whale or something. Who knows what brought them here? Following dolphins or something that they prey on. Some kind of sea life. Could have even been storms that, brought them to islands like in the Caribbean first, and then they found their way up, to Florida across there. It's hard to say. I'm definitely not a marine biologist. But I am a platinum member at a holiday. I didn't stay there last night. I doubt I am still a platinum member there. I haven't stayed there. I haven't even done work travels in over 10 years, so. Boy, do I miss that money, too. It's about the only downside about having pets like that. Now that I'm single, I can't just travel like that, for 2, 3 weeks at a time. Sometimes a month, or 6 weeks at a time. Even if I always tried to stay at Residence Inn also, rather than Holiday. Residence Inn is a pet friendly place. Not that I ever took my pets with me, but they were also had smokers' rooms. They were some of the only places, that did still have those. You paid a little bit more for it, but I didn't care. Anyway, I didn't have to go outside or walk clear down to the other far end of the parking lot where they had a designated smoking area because some group of grannies complained until they did that. Anyway, if I could stay at places like that, I could do it where she could go with me, but have to drive rather than fly, because I'm not going through all that with taking a dog through TSA and flights, especially with her age. No. And I can't picture my life without a dog either. I'm not saying I'm going to get one before she goes, but I'd almost like to. It makes transitions easier when dog's passed, and she is my last dog living, so I don't want to get bitter or heartbroken at her loss enough to where I harden my heart to where I don't want another animal. If I've already brought one into our lives, and them teaching it and going through the rough puppy phases when they destroy everything. I'm good at potty training. I get dogs potty trained like within 3 weeks. Like they go on the mat, the potty mat, within the first day or second day. But I get them scratching or barking at the door to go out and go potty, within 3 weeks. Anyway, usually way less. It depends on the breed of dog, and not only that, because even our smartest dog was the 2 generations of border collies. There were dogs that stood out way above, the others in smarts. The other ones were like dirt, still smarter than most dogs, but dirt in comparison to the, ones that really stood out. That you're like, man, are you? Who taught you that? Because it wasn't me. You're too smart for your own good. We had one female named Stormy from the first litter. She was the twin to Daddy, or the one that lived the longest. Anyway, she was of the 2 generations, the cream of the crop in brains. That dog was. She did things that made all of us be like, man, who taught you that? Where did you learn that? I'm impressed, but I wasn't expecting you to know stuff like that. She walked down to the river there was a whole group of us from my wife's ex-wife's work, and they were all visiting to come see the river and have a barbecue and all that. There was supposed to be a company picnic, but hardly anybody came. There were still 12 to 15 of us down there at the time. And she goes and she's smelling in the air, and the wind's blowing her, long little locks of fur. She was black and white, typical border collie, but she was just really cute. Anyway, she's smelling the air and it's blowing her fur, and all of a sudden she walks out into the river, plunges her head under the water, and comes up with the biggest crawdad I've ever seen in my life. That thing was like 9 or 10 inches long and huge. She come back just wagging her tail. Look at me, I found a lobster. But we're all looking at each other like, how in the world did she know that was even there? But she probably heard it, scurrying on the bottom and on the rocks, but was sniffing to pinpoint it, in the air. Because she went straight out, plunged her head, come up with it, and come up all proud of herself, wagging her tail, drops it at my feet. I dang sure didn't teach her how to crayfish hunt. She did a lot of things in her life that were just like, girl, you are just too smart for your own good. I miss her too. She was a sweetie also. Talk about a clown. The more you told her she was silly, Abby's like that too. The one I have now, the little Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Especially if you tell her she's BAD. She cannot stand to be told she's bad girl. She'll start, scooting with her chest on the ground, her butt in the air, and her face all sideways with this derpy smile, like, no, I'm not bad, I'm cute. Starts flopping on her back, pawing at you in the air, like, no, don't say that. She's funny. But Stormy was like that too. She was a clown. The more you told her she was silly or a clown, the more she'd clown it up. And I called it quadrupaw. She'd roll on her back and paw at you with all 4 paws. She was very dexterous. She used to climb out the kennel cage. She'd go in the corner, put her paws in the diamond shape of the chain link, back herself up like that until her butt was on the top of the feeder, sit on the feeder, and just, I finally saw this on camera because I started aiming it. I thought somebody was messing with us and letting our dogs out, letting her out. She was the only one doing it at first. Anyway, I aimed a camera at it and I saw how she was doing it. And once she got on top of the feeder, that's only like 3 feet from the top of that 6-foot tall fence. And she would sit there and look at it like she was, doing the border collie math, the calculations. And she would get it every time. She would jump, and all 4 paws would like curl to the size of a dessert plate, a small plate, and barely touch the top of the fence as she would, get her balance to look down and land on all 4 feet on the ground, even though it was concrete. Because I was like, girl, you're going to break your, toes or paws or legs or something, ankles. But she always was fine. But once I figured out that it was her letting herself out, because I went and bought these cables with locks, in a combination lock, and put that on there. And we'd come home and she'd be out like all proud of herself, but the cable and fence are still locked to the kennel, the gate, and all the other dogs are in there. And I'm like, man, I feel like somebody's messing with us, Anyway, it was her. She was just too smart. That dog was just incredibly smart. One of those, although you've had a lot of good dogs, it's one of those one of a kinds, that really stand out above the rest. She was that dog. And surprisingly, fiercely protective, man. Shoo. She was not scared to go from sweet, beautiful girl to just nasty girl real quick. She would back our pit bulls up. Well, her sister Feisty, who was aptly named, was the worst. She was the dominant one. She literally would hump the male dogs. Not only the 2 male border collies, but the male pit bull. They would sit there and just look at you like, make her stop. I'm like, man, you got teeth? You're supposed to be the boy. Turn around and tell her what's up. Anyway, both of them, when it came to food or treats, they weren't food bowl dominant. They knew whose bowls were whose, but if anybody came near them, or if, like at Christmas, if there were basted bones, and all of them got one, but if one of those girls thought that the boys had one of theirs, they would back them off all the way out the room first and then take the bone. It's like, man, y'all are wusses. The boy dogs. Y'all are just wusses. But most people don't. I do know this. Since I was very young, people that breed dogs taught me this, but females are actually dominant in dogs. Most male dogs that aren't fixed or trained to fight, for that horrible sport that people do, most male dogs will not fight a female. So, and most females can back a male dog off, as a matter of fact. Like, if she doesn't want them to mount her and, she's not hooked to a breeding thing or, confined space, she will turn around and be like, rah, 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 and most male dogs will be like, okay. Anyway, a lot of people don't realize that females are dominant in dogs. But so what doesn't surprise me that Feisty was not only the dominant of the 2 packs and trying to dominate over her own mother, my first dog, because she would attack her and I wouldn't let that happen. Anyway, not only was she dominant over the 2 litters of dogs and trying to be over her mother, she was just like dominant by nature. So, We used to laugh really hard though about her humping the boys. I'm telling you, it really was. The look on their faces was pathetic. It's like it's not like she has anything and is penetrating you. It's just humiliating. I get it. You gotta learn to stick up for yourself. Of course, we were like, "Get off him! Stop that!" You know. Oh man. Our German Shepherd that was alive at the time, that was actually my ex-wife's dog from before I met her. He was impressive. He was an asshole. Sorry, butthole, but he was 145 pounds. It was one of the biggest German Shepherds I've ever seen in my life. He come from champion bloodlines of Indiana State Police. Anyway, he was a big jerk. He always tried to pick on, because they were only like, the first generation was like maybe 9 months old, and the second generation was just born, because Feisty was 8 months when she got pregnant, so they were almost 10 months old. But anyway, when he came to live here full time when we got together, but he would pick on the puppies just unmercifully sometimes. He wasn't actually hurting them. He was just trying to assert his dominance over everybody. And would chase them down and run them down, and the boys would cower to the ground and hunker down like, "Don't hurt me, don't hurt me." And he was just, that was all it was for him, was just making them do that. He wasn't actually, we wouldn't let him hurt them. I would have kicked his butt. Anyway. And that ain't no joke. He was a big German Shepherd and also known to be mean. He bit a vet tech's face so bad she had to get like 190 some stitches in her face. My ex is lucky they didn't put that dog down for that. But anyway, he was abused by her ex, who was in a wheelchair and really just had no business owning a dog. He would corner them and like whip them with the leash and stuff. It took her a while to first realize that that's what was going on, that they were being abused, and second to believe that it was him, because she just figured because he was disabled there's no way he was doing it. She figured it was some of his friends that were coming over. They were all, not her, but he and his friends were druggies. He had paralyzed himself by getting all high on coke and going out on the motorcycle and having a bad wreck, acting like an idiot. And in his pity me, woe for me, self-loathing, he got into worse drugs and had people, shady people over while she was out working, basically supporting them and taking care of him. And so she wanted to believe that it was one of his friends or something abusing the dog. It's JR's dad's name was K9. Silly as both of their names were, that's just their names, K9 and JR. But K9 actually was a canine dog, and he was retired. And it was through that connection that they got JR after K9 had been bred one more time before being retired. Anyway, he abused both of them. When they split, that disabled guy somehow got to keep K9, and JR went with my ex. And so that's why he was such a butthole. He didn't trust anybody. He didn't like anybody. When he came here, this was all to explain where I said, trust me, regardless of his size, I would kick his butt. Just to get to this point. When he came here, I was sitting in this very living room. I was sitting on the couch. Wife was laying on the floor. He was laying on the floor with him, or with her. With I can't believe that came out like that. Anyway, with her. I ain't funny like that at all. Anyway, she was laying down there with him to keep him calm, because he was wanting to act like a butthole because I was in the room with him. It was the first time we'd ever been in the same room without him being confined, barking like a maniac because he didn't know me and didn't like me. But you're in my house. I almost said the word MF. Anyway, I'm sitting on the couch. She's laying on the floor with him. I didn't even think about it. It was just habitual. I stood up to go get a drink because my drink was empty in the kitchen, and he jumped from laying on the floor like to lunge at me. It was like, rah, 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 rah. And I squared that dog right in the nose. Like, oh yeah? No, I think I said, you better lay down. Like that as I punched him right in the nose. Not like hard enough to hurt him or kill him. It was just like reactionary, to be honest with you. It was the back of my hand and knuckles caught him right on the snout, and he's like, "Brr!" and went and tucked his nose under the blanket my wife was laying, under like a big baby. Ran to his mama, and I was like, "You done with that?" Like that, and she goes, "You tell him you're sorry." And he put his ears back submissive, but I still was ready because I didn't know this dog, and he already just lunged at me to bite me. And he came up and he sniffed my hand from, it was like he stretched from 3 feet away as far as he could possibly stretch to sniff my hand and then gave a little lick. And I was like, good boy. I was like, you gonna let me pet you? And his eyes got a little sharky, if you know what I mean, for a second, but he kept his ears back. I was like, good boy. And I scratched the top of his head, and then he started wagging his tail real slow. I was like, see? It ain't got to be like that. And from then on, that dog and I think he liked me more than her, to be honest with you. Because I loved on him right after. Like you would a child, Of course, you might have, well, you can't do that these days. But when we were growing up, you get your butt spanked. But then after you cry it out, your mom or dad comes and sits down and explains why you got your butt spanked and that they love you and they didn't want to have to do that. But you have to listen. That's what's wrong with this world is there's no more of that. And it's because some people abused children. And children still get abused even though good parents aren't allowed to spank their kids anymore. That's the irony of it. Just like people that think that getting rid of assault weapons is going to keep criminals from doing those things when criminals don't go through backgrounds and buy it the legal way in the first place. Just those laws are just stupid. You should let parents raise their kids in the way the Bible said, spare the rod, spoil the child. If they need their little butts whipped, to get their butts whipped and then sit them down and explain it. Parenting is something that not everybody is good at, and some people shouldn't be parents anyway, and those are usually the people that end up, some of them not being parents, talking about deadbeat dads and or moms that run off because they're absorbed in their self and their habits, and that's more important to them than the mistakes, if you want to look at it, that they made that caused the non-mistake of a life that's a blessing from God. They just don't see the value in that or prioritize it as first, like they should. That's a shame. But that's what's wrong with our society and most societies. And that woke ideology of indoctrinating, I'm just going to say it, indoctrinating children into, this is the part that just baffles me, is that people don't see the bigger agenda here. It's not just about indoctrinating children into believing that if you want to be a boy, if you're a girl, you can be a boy. If you want to be a girl, if you're a boy, you can be a girl. It's not even about talking them into self-mutilation. It's the not seeing the big picture at the end game. That once you've done that to yourself, now you can't reproduce if you change your mind down the road. And what they're going to cause is a whole generation, maybe two, if we can't wake up to it and stop it, get them to realize for themselves. Because I'm not saying be harsh on them. I'm saying with love, explain, teach them for themselves to see the obvious, that in the end game, we're losing at least one generation of people because nobody's going to be able to have babies. It's not just not wanting to have babies. You can't have babies now. So it's a dangerous thing that's happening. It really is. And that's by design. That's the most evil part about it. And that people are so blindly just like, oh, it's inclusion and equality, and that's fine. If you want to be those things, be those things, but don't force it down people's throat and don't indoctrinate children with that crap. They have no business. They need to be learning what children are supposed to be learning, not about sexual things. They're not old enough or cognitive enough to be consensual in that. And keeping parents from stopping them from doing that is wrong. Those are their children. Who are you to tell them that they can't say that they don't want their children learning those things in their schools? They're paying taxes and trusting the public education system to do the right thing by their children and to be safe, not to bring weirdos in there, with their private parts exposed, or even just talking about those things with children. That's inappropriate on every level and always has been. I don't know how that switch got flipped. Anyway, we're fishing. Let's move on. Anyone's entitled, as I said, to believe as they want, and if they want to live that way, to live as they want. My belief is in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And in those teachings in the Bible, if anyone does know the Bible, they would recognize what's happening over in Syria right now, and with the Israel, what started off as Israel and Gaza, now morphed into Israel, Lebanon, with the threat of Iran getting involved, with the threat of North Korea getting involved, with the threat of Turkey getting involved. It's lining up for biblical prophecy. And you can believe what you want in that, but if there was any time for our society to wake up, it talks about sin, and as in the days of Noah when God destroyed most of humanity because of perverse, sexualities and just horrible things. That's going on in every society again now, so it wouldn't surprise me if it isn't what we read to be coming, with biblical prophecy, that he's sick of the world again. Christ's second coming is coming. The Battle of Armageddon is lining up in the Middle East. When you see armies surround Damascus in Syria, that'll be the time. Damascus will be gone overnight and unrecognizable, so you'll know then. Then we're in for a bit of tribulation with the Antichrist. Times are going to get even worse. Deep subjects for fishing, so I won't dwell on it, but I don't even remember how I got on that point, to be honest with you, but there it is. Think of it what you will, do with it what you will. But I pray that everybody comes to realize, what isn't right and what is right in the world, and comes to whatever realizations that they need to, whatever that means for them to get right. I wish that no one would perish. It's almost 11. It's been an hour since I was talking about Grandpa, feeling like bedtime. Guess that espresso worked. It gave me jabberjaws for about 20 minutes there, that's for sure. But it's out of the right reasons and motives. I think that's what we were talking about, was leading by example. That's how I got on that. you should say the right thing, even if it's not the popular thing to hear. You're not being a friend by saying what people want to hear, necessarily. You're being a friend by saying what they need to hear, even if it's not. You know, they say the truth hurts for a reason. That's how you know you're over the target. It doesn't mean beat them down with it. You know, just with love, gently tell them the truth, and then let it be from there. Hope if they're a true friend and they're a good person, they will self-reflect and come to the realization on their own, and then come back and tell you that they appreciate you for being that friend. But some people can't do that. My former boss can't take responsibility or wrongdoing at all. Like, she will not admit fault, even when you've got her dead to the rights, and we're not even being like that about it. She'll recognize it. You can see she recognizes it, and she tries to joke it off or something. It's like, you know what? Shows a lot of your character, especially for a 70-year-old woman, you know. By now, you should be exemplifying, lead by example in the best of ways. But, you know, like I said, not every person's the same. We know this anyway. That's why lead by example is important, because maybe that's the only step that they're missing, is someone exemplifying to them the right way to be. Even if they're not being so polite or congenial to you, doesn't mean you have to snap. And I'm working on that my own self, because I've got my dad's side of the family's hot head, and I'll just say it, sorry mom, smart assery. I got my mom's side of the family's quick wit and humor, but you couple that, you know, the quick wit with the smart assery, sorry, of my dad's side of the family. I'll tell you like it is in a second, you know, and I don't always think before I speak. That's what I'm trying to say. In short, Reader's Digest condensed version. So I'm working on it myself, but you don't always have to respond in kind when people aren't kind to you. Leading by example is exemplifying that, you know, blessing them, as the Bible says, rather than cursing them in return. I'm sorry you feel that way. May you be blessed. And again, I don't always get it right either. Sometimes I'm not in the mood, and I might just, again, not think before I speak and snap right back at somebody, and then I always regret it later. And whether they have the character not to apologize for what they did or said, unlike my former boss who can't, I usually will go back and be like, sorry I acted like that earlier. Although it doesn't excuse it, I was in a mood or whatever the case may be, and I shouldn't have responded that way to you. It's not the person I was raised to be, in other words. And my father, who is deceased now, is probably looking down from heaven, and that's no way to honor him, or, you know, because they did do right by us, teaching us and whooping our butts when we needed it. He was a no nonsense kind of person. But I appreciate that, you know, and it taught me how to be tough in this world, because if you're not tough, you're woke. And they hurted my feelings. Well, you better knock them feelings off your shoulder and tell them to get lost, because that's going to happen a lot in life and in this world. If you're not thick enough and tough enough skin to absorb it, it's going to be rough. I'm thankful for the upbringing that we had. what I mean by that is that smartassery and quote unquote meanness of my dad's side of the family that would come out. You know, it seemed so mean and harsh when you were a kid, but looking back at it now, you realize your dad was just toughening you up. Because people have said a lot worse. You know, it's like now I can just grin at it and be like, words, you know. So you basically ain't going to do squat. You're just going to talk squat. And that's the nicest way I can say that because that's not how he would say it. You're not going to do and you're going to talk Call them out on their bull stuff right there. If you actually had an issue, you come do something, not just say something. So, bleh. Me. Not worth my time. That's part of leading by example too. Is what I was saying is not reacting in those situations. Some people are just blah blah blah, and it makes them feel tough or think that they look tough in front of their buddies or whatever, or total strangers to talk to you like that. But again, I'm telling you, if you learn how to respond not in kind, but in blessing or just kindness, if you will, even if that person doesn't respond, you know, the correct way through it, people who are watching, whether they say something about it or not, they're going to be thinking about it. They'll be like, man, I'd like to be like that, you know, to where that was pretty slick. That guy didn't get mad, you know, didn't try to start a fight, was able to just smoothly and respectfully respond in a way that, you know, leaves them no position, if you will, other than either you want to do something about it, which without even saying that, in other words, you don't even have to get to that point. Just respond kindly to where they look like the jackass that they're acting like. You look like somebody that isn't affected by it and responded kindly and respectfully, and it's going to leave people who witnessed it wondering, you know, how does he do that? How do I do that? How do I get to there? And it's a work in progress your whole life. Again, I'm not perfect. Some days I regret the way I respond and react. And even if it's just by myself in the car and they're getting on my nerves on the road, I don't have to get mad about that and say the things I do or think the things I do, but I'm human too, and sometimes I do it. So it's a work in progress your whole life. Right now, I'm back to doing Amazon delivery routes again out of my vehicle. So my job's all about windshield time. So yeah, sometimes people annoy me, slowing my day down, if you will. I have to self-reflect, and be like, look, man, you get paid to do this for a 4 hour block. It usually takes an hour and 13 minutes or something, or to an hour and 30 minutes to do, and you're still getting paid the same amount as if it would have took you 4 hours to do. So yeah, those couple minutes you got delayed really aren't that bad and aren't worth getting angry over. Or even when you're just totally justified, because you got total idiots out there on the road that just act like buttholes. I don't know why. I don't mean just pull it out in front of you at the last second. I mean, like, I don't know. The Subaru I drive is intelligent drive or something it's called, and it's got cameras on either side of the rearview mirror, and it keeps you a safe distance off it detects the car in front of you and then keeps you a safe distance off of it. But for whatever reason, whether it's they think you're too close or whatever, they start, well, sometimes legitimately brake checking you, but they just start touching the brakes, or trying to make you slow down. It's like, what is your problem? I'm not anywhere near you. People like that, and you can see them either looking in the rear view or adjusting the rear view, so it's about you. And it's like, I'm not even near you. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just driving down the same road in the same direction as you. What is your freaking problem? I have to sit there and be like, okay, I'm not going to get angry over this person. They're not worth it. Don't know what their issue is. God bless them. Because I didn't do anything to them and I don't want to be affected by them. So. It's sad that some people are so miserable in their existence that they have to project that on the others. And in some ways, I've probably been guilty of that myself. I'm sure we all have in one way or another. But like to go to that extent where it's like you're actively trying to affect somebody's day, especially with driving in a vehicle where people can get hurt. Accidents get caused like that. I just don't understand that kind of mentality. I've been a hothead or a hot rod, if you will, with driving as far as like somebody, trying to speed up faster than you. It's like, oh, really? When I was younger and done stupid stuff like that, but never like actively trying to slow somebody down or, hurt somebody acting like an idiot. I've had people swerve at me before. And I don't think they were drunk because they didn't swerve anymore. And it wasn't like it was just at me. Like I had one swerve at me to be able to get past me and get in front of me to go around the guy that I guess he felt was going too slow, but still faster than me in the left lane, and then swerve at him to make him, either swerve or slow down so that he can cut back over because of the car just ahead of him in the same lane as me. It's like, what is your freaking problem, man? Good grief, you're going to kill people out here over what? Because you're in a little bit more of a hurry. You're going to get there, 38 seconds faster than we did? And get stopped at the same light just before your destination that we get stopped at, but roll up slower than you at? People are just dumb. They don't look at the big game, the end game. Like, it all comes full circle, like I said earlier. Looking at the end game. Thinking things through, which again, I admitted myself, I don't always think before I speak. So, work in progress, folks. Work in progress. I'm about fed up with this fish for tonight. I'd rather go to another reserve and go for one of the other legendaries than to keep on doing this. I'm right over top the music. I'm fishing with, oh, well, I am on a shad. We can go back to the worm for a few. I forgot we did that. Guess there was no we in it. It was me. You got a French speaking mouse in your pocket? Oui, oui, monsieur. Oh my gosh. Keep wanting to press the button to select it like you would in Red Dead or something else, but that just makes it go away in this game. Music is louder facing this way, so I don't know. What you want, fish? What you want? What you fishes want from this nigga? And I said ugga, not igga, so before anybody says I'm being racist, I ain't racist. I hate everybody the same. I don't care what color you are. See, that's a joke too. It's a joke, not a bullet. Don't take it so hard. And I don't truly hate people. I just like dogs more than I like most people. Dogs are better friends. They're loyal. They're incapable of deceit. Like when you got multiple dogs and you come home and either somebody's pooped on the floor or shredded something like the trash, you say, "Who did that?" The guilty one, there's no way they can lie. I mean, there's their face and their body language. You know exactly which one did it. So, yeah, dogs are better than people every day of the week. Any day of the week. Every day of the week, no doubt. I don't truly hate people. I just like am not the social bug that I used to be. Because a lot of people get it, especially since I don't drink anymore. Being around people that are drinking or are drunk actually gets on my nerves. It's kind of like, wow, did I sound like that and act like that? And then sometimes when you definitely know, yeah, I used to say that or do that when they're drinking, you like, again, it's self reflection from things that you used to do. I'm glad I don't anymore. One of the last times I did drink, I made an ass of myself, and it was on a work trip. But dude was talking evolution, like we came from monkeys, and I didn't come from a monkey, and I wasn't trying to hear it. I was just too drunk to be mature enough to keep my tongue, you know, keep my mouth shut. I was like, I didn't come from no GD monkey, and I don't say God's name in vain like that normally either. That's how drunk I was. It actually made me mad. I mean, I went into a full dissertation with why would we evolve away from having a tail? Monkeys can hang on to tree limbs with the tail and still have both hands. They just don't have opposable thumbs. How did we get opposable thumbs? If we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys? Like I went into this full dissertation, and at one point he said, I don't even remember what he said, but he challenged me and said so. Oh, basically, I think he was saying I was acting like a monkey, and he was right. Then and I got mad and I poured my beer into the bread basket, not thinking about the fact that it's a bread basket. So it's not like solid, it's porous. As in it, porous is my beer that I poured in it all over the table into an ever growing puddle. And the one girl, and hot as she was too, that was on our work trip with us, she's sitting across from me, and she was digging everything I was saying until I poured the beer in there, and the puddle started coming out, and her eyes got real big, looking at me like, "What did you do?" So yeah, I basically made an ass or a monkey, you could say, of myself, and I had to go around the following morning at morning meeting and breakfast and make my apologies. Like, I'm sorry that I acted like that. But I knew exactly why, and I still stood my ground that I didn't appreciate being told we came from monkeys. I certainly didn't come from a monkey, even if I acted like one. So I was already admitting then that I knew that I had not acted right. I literally stopped drinking on the regular after that. I'm not saying I haven't drank since, because I have, but not like drinking to get drunk, or definitely not drinking on the regular. It's only been at like my neighbor's pig roast, where they had a keg going along with the pig roast. I drank a couple beers that night, but I came there with my own drinks, non-alcoholic. So I was able to drink a couple with them to socialize, but not be drinking to get drunk and not keep drinking, in other words. But yeah, I made a conscious decision after that work trip to I don't want to be like that. I don't want to sound like that, and I don't want to act like that, and I don't want to be remembered for that. So, best way to do that from here forward, because it might be ruined with some of these people, but the best way forward is to just not do that, so that I can't get caught in that kind of situation again. Told you from the start, I ain't perfect either. I ain't trying to come at anybody, in this conversation as though I'm perfect. Because I believe in Jesus and I'm a Christian. I know I'm not. That's why I need Jesus. The whole purpose of it, and that's what people don't get, is the whole reason Christ came to earth. It's God in the human form through his son. And it was to be the sacrifice for our sins because we're incapable of being perfect. We proved that in the garden. The very first two humans that he created. At any rate, a lot of people think that Christians are, you know, self-righteous and hypocritical, and to be honest, a lot of them are. But I don't come at it that way. I'll tell you from the beginning, I'm a sinner. That's the whole reason I needed Jesus. Because I know I'm incapable of doing this and ever making the grade on my own. I've already sinned in way, like, just sexually. We'll go there. Sex before marriage, during marriage, I committed adultery. My wife did. And I thought maybe doing it would make me feel better. There it is. It didn't. Not only did I sin against God and myself and with her, but it was against the wife too. So, it didn't make me feel better. There's a lesson of it. But yeah, I did that. I've done sins that are part of the Ten Commandments not to do. It's the whole reason I need Jesus. Is for the forgiveness of those sins and to sin no more. That's the biggest thing, like we were talking about with the drinking. Once you, doesn't mean just because you're forgiven for doing it that you get to keep doing it and ask for forgiveness. Now, are there some human behaviors and traits that we do that we got to keep at? Yeah, like telling lies. Everybody lies about one thing or another, even if it's just to be polite to somebody. That's why I was saying earlier, I don't really candy coat. You should say what people need to hear, especially if they ask you for your opinion in it, rather than what they want to hear. Now, I'm not saying if somebody's like, do you think I'm fat? I don't know. That's not a place where even if you do that, you're like, yeah. Whether they need to hear that or not, you could say is like, well, why would you think you were fat? You obviously you're feeling self-conscious, or you wouldn't be asking me, do I think you're fat? I don't think you're obese. See, you're already treading in bad water right there at thin ice. And I've always been, like I said, quick-witted and, my mom's side of the family humor, so jokingly with friends, they've been like joking with me, like, do these pants make my butt look big? No, your butt makes your butt look big. The pants are just tight and pronounced a little more. It's not truly being mean. You're just joking with them and being honest. And they know it anyway, or they wouldn't be joking and asking you a question. I've had good friends in my life like that you could joke with. I had a black friend, going back to the prejudice things that people don't think that we are. We were so good of friends. He was one of the funniest dudes I've ever known, I'm telling you. I invited him, I live on the river, I told you. I invited him to come out here and go floating with us, him and his wife and family. He's like, David, black people don't like water. You know what happened the last time we got on a boat? Just the fact that he could joke like that about something so sensitive, like I said, he's one of the funniest dudes I've ever known. I miss that dude in my life. If people were more open-minded like that, and we could get past the things that they try to keep us divided on, because that is by design also. The racism and the race baiting and all of that. Reparations for something that happened over almost 200 years ago. Both sides of my family were abolitionists. Like, I think distant parts, you could say fought on both sides, but people we don't even know, like they don't even have the same last name of us. They're just way distant down the family tree relatives kind of things. Probably by marriage or something. I don't even know because, like I said, it ain't by blood or name. But the majority of my family on both sides were abolitionists. And to be totally frank, at one time or another, all of us are descendants of slavery. Like if you go back to biblical times with the Jews and the, all white Christians to Rome, in the pits with the lions, having to fight lions and stuff. Oh boy. Like I said, at one time or another, all humans have been slaves. I'm not saying that takes away from what happened in America because it was an atrocity upon a race. And that's another thing that people can't accept or swallow is that search the Barbary Coast for one, if you want to see about white slaves to black slave owners. But for two, I mean, yes, they were white, the Dutch and the English that were bringing the slaves over on the ships before the Americans got a fleet to do that. But the touchy subject that people don't want to swallow or accept is what color were the people in Africa that were selling their own people to those people? They were black. But anyway, slavery's wrong in my eyes. Doesn't matter what color the people that sold them, bought them, owned them were. It's wrong. Doesn't matter what color the people who were slaves were. It's wrong. And I don't believe in race either, like they keep trying to divide us with. There isn't but one race. It's called the human race. Yes, we are different pigments, colors, if you will, of pigment, with melanin or the lack of, or melatonin, whatever the word is. But there isn't but one race. It's the human race. It's another thing they forced us to make a change with, was taking God out of everything. It was one nation, under God, indivisible. You take God away and start, making Christians a bad thing in society, which, if you pay attention, they're trying to do. And the divisible part was easy from there, with race and inequality and inclusion, all of those things that are being forced down our throat. It's all part of their plan. My grandfather, I'm glad that, and my great grandfather, and my father and uncles that served, and some of them literally shed blood to preserve this republic. We have, people want to say democracy. In a way, it is a democracy, but it is a republic. We are a constitutional republic. Point being is, they fought to keep communism off the shore. We are being force-fed it down our throats. And a lot of people don't even realize it because of the titles that they give it. Diversity, equality, and inclusion. The teaching the children, going through the education. They're in everything. They're in government, education, finances, the energy industry. They're in everything. It has crept in over the past 30 to 40 years, 3 or 4 decades, since I was a child. Because I remember hearing my grandparents and my parents not bickering, but arguing. Like, my grandpa was smart enough to know what he was seeing, and my dad and my mom's, generation were like, no, you're being paranoid. And, and then my mom and my dad, when they got older, were trying to say it to us. And although I did believe it, I just wasn't seeing it, like what they were trying to say then. And now that I'm seeing it so prevalently, good luck trying to get any of the youth today to see it because they're swallowing it, because it's gimme, gimme, gimme. They get stuff out of it. So why would they want, and for free, and they don't have to work? Why would they want it different? And they think they're entitled to what people who did work for it and earned it, have. And that's communism. No matter how you try to shake it. Sorry. Taking veterans that are homeless, and you don't even want to know the statistics. I'm sure you've seen it. If you've been to a major city, somebody with even if it's an older gentleman with a ball cap on that, is a naval ship designation, the CVS 85 or whatever, and have the name of the ship. Or you've seen like an Army veteran or Marine veteran, not usually a lot of Marine veterans, but, you know, they're out there. They're homeless people. And yet people are coming here by the millions, literally, illegally. That's the biggest point, is illegally. Everybody's like, oh, how could you be like that? They're human beings. Yes, but they came here illegally. We are a nation of laws. We have immigration, the legal way. And they're like, we're a country of immigrants. Yes, the legal way, to Ellis Island. You can trace my family's, heritage, some of it back through there, because we weren't all here from the beginning in the colonization, as they liking to say now also about the way we colonized. Oh my goodness. It was the best thing that ever happened to this country, and for some indigenous people, for them. Yes, there were atrocities in that also. Like, we were even still being taught that in school when I was a kid, and I knew better. Like, my inner spidey senses, if you will, were like, that doesn't sound right. Because I knew Native Americans. In some of the areas we grew, I moved a lot. My dad was in the Air Force. So you'd live somewhere 6 or 9 months, get to be good friends with somebody, and then have to pack up and move. It's like, what? Why? Anyway, I've met a lot of Native Americans, and I, for whatever reason, clicked with pretty much any ethnicity, if you will. Because, like I said, there's not but one race. But any color of person I could get along with. I didn't look at people for color. We weren't raised that way. We were raised to look at people for their character. Were you a nice person? Were you a mean kid? Doesn't matter what color you are. Anyway, do you share? Are you selfish? All the stuff that matters as a kid. So I knew when they were telling us that, Indians were all savages. I was like, nah, it doesn't really sound right. Even as a little child, I had enough spiritual discernment to know in my spirit, or heart, if you will, that that just didn't seem like truth. If anything, they were being savage because they felt like they were being invaded. And I get that. Unfortunately, like with any land, because most land was conquested at one point in time in history, just like most people were slaves, the spoils, if you will, go to the victor, and we prevailed. Just like we did later on. It was the British, by the way, because we came from British colonies, and it was Britain that settled all. They were already in Canada and other places in South America and stuff, but then they took over the colonies here. It was same method that we gained our independence, through blood and grit and just determination, as farmers and bankers and plantation owners and just general people with pitchforks at first, to overcome the mightiest army in the world at that time, the Royal Army, the British. So, point being is, all lands have a bloody and not so glamorous history, but the way they call us colonizers now, it's like, come on, that's long in the past. It's already done. You can't change it now. There's nothing that I owe anyone alive that suffered anything and that I owe anything, in other words. And that's wrong to try to divide people through that as well. But they do it. Bring it full circle again, talking about Revelations or any of the end time prophecies in the later New Testament chapters. Talks about good being called evil and evil being called good. Well, good being called evil would be like persecution of Christians and Christian morals, and evil being called good, like whether you like it or not, abortion is murder, and that's, my body, my choice, all that stuff. That's fine. What about the baby? Is it their choice? Whether it's a fetus or not, fetus means, I think it's Latin for offspring, basically, is what it translates to. So it's considered your baby from the time it's a fetus. It's not just a clump of cells. Even if it is just a clump of cells, they're living cells. And if for people who claim to be, anti-murder and this and that, and don't eat animals, don't harm animals, don't kill, well, what are you doing? You're killing living cells. So, at any rate, there's also scientific proof now that as soon as 6 weeks, it's already developed enough it has a heartbeat, it's developed. So it's murder, no matter how you look at it. But that's being called good. And many other things. The indoctrination, we'll say, of children in schools by people who shouldn't be there talking to or teaching, instructing children in any way, being any kind of example to a child. That's being called good. That's not good. That's perverting a child's intellect from very early ages, and especially when the self-mutilization of trying to transgender themselves into something they weren't born naturally as. And again, it is by design. It will ruin an entire generation of healthy born babies because there won't be the ability from a lot of people to do that. Thank goodness there's sane and rational youth out there that are still raised by, people with morals like I was raised with, that will have happy and healthy and, productive people of society born to them. It's just at what rate and at what moment does the shift in balance, of that become an issue and people realize it, hopefully before it's too late. They're like, we're your next generation of leaders. Yeah, but what are you going to produce that'll be the generation of leaders after that? That, again, you're not looking at the big picture and the end game. It's just mind-boggling to me. The amount of lack of intellect in that, of ability to see things or to think things. You don't have to see it, just to actually sit there and rationalize what the outcomes of that might be, or your actions, or your thoughts, or your plans. Yeah, they sound good. It sounds grand that you think something great's going to come. You'll get the respect you finally deserve, and you'll get to act however you want to act. But what's the end game of that? The ultimate goal, if you will. The future. What's the prospect and bright future in the outcome of that? You could ask Sodom and Gomorrah. Just saying. And again, I'm admittedly not perfect. I'm like King David in the Bible. I've got a sexual desire that is insatiable, it seems sometimes. I love women. I mean, God created something very beautiful there that attracts me, and I am sinful in that way. I mean, I'm not a man whore by any means, but I'm not holy about, you know, preserving myself and not laying with, someone I'm not married to. If they're attractive and they're attracted to me and we're attracted like that, it usually happens. Problem is, I wasted a little over 18 years of my life with somebody that I wanted to make a family with that was playing family and couldn't even have kids. She was pretending. Went through like several alleged topical pregnancies and miscarriages and played the grieving woman, over the loss of it. And all along, I mean, that's so evil and manipulative. It really is. All along knew that she couldn't have children. Wasted, a good chunk of my life with somebody doing that. Did a lot of other things I'm not going to say also. Just, I'm naive when it comes to matters of the heart. We'll say that. Because she's a good actress and got away with doing some pretty heinous things. Something I feel like if I or any other guy did, we'd be probably still sitting in jail for or paying back. I don't understand that about that either. The duplicity in the legal system. Well, maybe a trifecta actually, because there's the tier of women getting treated differently than men, and then there's the tier of people on the side of the law getting treated differently than us plebes. So it might be a three-way kind of three-tiered justice system. Maybe even four if you count like people in Congress and federal government that are even more unreachable and untouchable or have some kind of what's it called? Something immunity, qualified immunity, where they can't be sued or prosecuted. Some police agencies have that. It's like what if they violate your rights and or hurt somebody and are guilty of wrongdoing? There should be no reason they're above the law. They're supposed to be representative of the law. Talk about lead by example. And they wonder why people don't like the police. Don't get me wrong, I'm not that because my own father and my grandfather, the ones that served in the military, also were police officers. So it's not that I don't respect the law or the uniform or the laws that it upholds. It's on the individual basis of the person who's wearing that uniform. Again, it comes down to character. I don't understand the vetting process of some. Maybe they're just that short of hire, new hires that they'll just practically let anybody in because some people psychologically should not be cops. And they're the ones you see on like Audit the Audit and channels like that on YouTube. Yeah, I just gave them a shout out. I don't even know them, but I watch their channel and they're good at what they do of exposing bad cops. And legally and lawfully. And yes, to some people, they're like, they're annoying. They're doing that to be annoying. No, they're doing that to exercise their uh, constitutional rights and to prove that there's some cops that will overstep the law to violate those rights because their fragile little egos are hurt and they don't understand the own laws that they're supposed to represent. Because they're like trying to arrest people for being in public places, filming public, government places that we own, we paid for as taxpayers. And we are legally allowed to be there and film. And these ignorant cops don't even know the law well enough to know that and come out and get their feelings hurt because they try to force for ID at first. And the guy's like, I don't have to ID you. I'm in a public space. I'm not breaking it. Can you give me reasonable and articulable definition of any law that I'm breaking? And they always go to, you're on private property, blah, blah, blah. And it's not private property, it's public property. That's what I'm getting at is there are some cops that don't deserve to be cops. And how they pass the psychological evals to become cops is questionable. How they've gotten away with that kind of behavior for so long without getting called out by their own peers is questionable on those people's character. Because you know that they're doing wrong and you're worried about pushback or your own career and advancement so much that you're not going to say anything about it or do the right thing because you think it might affect you. That's the whole premise of having integrity, is doing the right thing whether anyone's there to see it or not. And especially if somebody's there to see it. It's showing that, yeah, you might be my colleague and brothers in blue or whatever they call it, the fraternity, the fraternal order of police. They all look out for each other, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And again, it comes down to lead by example and individual character. If they're not exemplifying that, you should be calling it out. Because now your character looks bad for ignoring it just because they're your coworker. Say you worked at this is really putting it out there, but it's a very good, I think, example. You work at a defense contractor, that makes top secret stuff for the military. And you know that your coworker is blabbing about it on Facebook. And although it might be innocent in intention, not willfully trying to share secrets, you're sharing secrets. And you might not be willfully sharing it with bad people, but you're sharing it on a public space where bad people could potentially access it and get a hold of it. So are you the kind of person that's just like, oh, I'm going to ignore it because if I don't want to start trouble and possibly affect my career advancement here or get fired for starting trouble, or are you going to do the right thing and be like, look, even if it's go to that person first and be like, look, man, you need to pull that down. I saw that on your social page or whatever, and we're not supposed to be talking about that stuff outside of this building. And if they don't do the right thing about it, then you should be going to the right channels to do something, because that literally could affect national security, that kind of thing. So yeah, that is a drastic difference in what I'm saying, but on the local level, you would expect it to be greater because you're a public servant, as a cop. And if you're not standing up to your own peers and telling them when they're doing wrong and just allowing it to happen, you don't really deserve to be one either, in my book. And that's also why I've never tried to be a cop, because I've said and done things in my life. I'm not bad things. I'm not a criminal by any means, but I'd feel like a hypocrite because I smoke weed. I do. I grow it. It's legal to here now. I'm not going anywhere or hurting anybody with it. I'm smoking it in my own home. It relaxes me and helps me sleep. Uh, Point being is, I would feel like a hypocrite to be a cop, and especially if I ended up living somewhere where it's not legal. And even if I don't smoke it anymore, I have for a long time. So to go and bust people for possessing or smoking weed when I used to do it myself just feels like a major hypocrite to me. So That's why I don't even do that. I'm not. I don't think I am better than anybody like that. Now, busting people that do things, that actually hurt other people, that would be different. But because of even if it came to I used to smoke weed, I would feel like a hypocrite, and that's what keeps me from doing that. Even though there's crimes that I would like to be an active part of helping stop, like or just human trafficking in general. Heroin and fentanyl, or nil, however you say it. Major dealers, I'm talking about. Not, take them out, you won't have local level because the supply won't be there. But stuff that's actually killing people every day, that needs to be stopped. It really does. But busting people for low level stuff like, having a joint or whatever, I think that is such a waste of time and resources, when there's people out there that are actually doing legitimate bad things. Strong arm robberies and carjackings and stuff like that. Like jerking young mom or old moms or grannies out of their car, and sometimes not realizing there's kids in the back of it as you take off, stealing their car. You see that stuff on, cops and on videos online. You're like, man, what is wrong with people? Again, even if you do finally realize because the baby's screaming and crying in the back, but you don't stop, you keep running from the police because they're on you now. You really don't value that child's life any more than that. I'm not saying stop and throw the baby out the car, good Lord, but at what point do you realize it's a hopeless endeavor? Besides the felony carjacking, now you're felony fleeing from the police. How do you really think it's going to end? That you're going to get away? No. On that note, I seem to be stuck on the binge for almost the past year. There's two channels. They're both out of Arkansas. Well, three, actually. There's LRHN, which is Little Rock Highway News. I don't watch that one that much, but I do like it. There's your shout out. Don't know them either. But Arkansas State Police Activity and then Natural State Transparency. Those two channels I think they might not be. I'm just assuming that they're somehow affiliated with the Arkansas State Police because they always seem to get the videos first and the most unedited, if you will. What they'll actually release to the public, they get the full versions. But it's just weird to me how many people in Arkansas run from the freaking police. It's almost like California used to be for me, seeing it on the news back in the 90s, and they still run on the I-5 every now and then, especially around LA. But I'm telling you, there are so many, like they put 4 videos out just last night on the Natural State Transparency of the past few days, or, even if it was a week ago, it was a consecutive few days of people running from the Arkansas State Police, and they always get pitted or finally stop or wreck out or whatever, but they always get caught. There's only been a few that have actually ever got away. There was a black Charger, the infamous black Charger that would black out at night, turn his lights out, and so fast because it was not only a Scat Pack or a Hellcat, but it was tuned, It was not factory. It was way fast. Anyway, he got away numerous times, but they finally got him. Then there was a black BMW that they finally got that was trying to, you could tell, follow in the footprints of the Charger with being uncaught or whatever. But he didn't last long. I mean, not even a month. Only like 3 or 4 times did he get away and then got wrecked out and caught. Kind of like the Charger did. I think the Charger, though, they had gotten so close to it like numerous times because that was well over a year of it getting away. I'm not kidding you. Anyway, so many times they gotten close to it that I think somebody offloaded that because it was a young white kid. Originally, I'm positive that they ID'd it as a black male that was driving it, like 2 or 3 times in the initial times I saw it. But then it was a young white kid that, and the way he was driving also, although he did pretty good, it didn't seem to the level of experience, that what I witnessed the first 10 or 15 times of watching that one pull away from Arkansas State Police best driver, Trooper Bird. I mean, he's got, I think, over 100 and some videos, of his own that are out there because he's like the pit master. But that Charger, for a good while, even got away from him, made him look incapable, we'll say. I don't want to say inexperienced because he's not. Like I said, he's the pit master. That dude has taken down so many people in high-speed chases. He's a true master at it. My father, I told you, he was a police officer and a military veteran, but after retiring from all that, he went used the GI Bill and went back and finally went to college because he never did. He joined the military straight out of high school. He was already in Civil Air Patrol, but he finally went back to college, and one of the things he became a certified driver's ed instructor, but he also majored in criminal justice and minored in religious studies. But in the criminal justice, somehow through that in like extended studies or continuation of education, if you will, became a certified driver's ed instructor. And for a while, he was teaching the Virginia State Police rookies skid recovery and pit maneuvering, like down on where 295, the highway down near Richmond, where it dead ended. It actually, I think, is finished and connects to another highway now, but like where you got off of 95 or 301, or Route 1, some of those highways, old highways or byways as they call them now because they're 2-lane or 4-lane divided, onto that interstate 295. There's like a half mile, like beyond where, back the other direction from where you get onto that highway, where it begins, if you will, that is paved but was never developed, so you can't really access it. And they would go down there and use that half mile to learn skid recovery and pit maneuvering and stuff like that. And my dad was an instructor for that for a while. But just interesting side note. Don't think he was any Trooper Bird by any means, but he taught us to drive, and I don't know, I've had a lot of people tell me I'm a good driver, even cops that were following me before and been like, you ever been a police officer? I was like, no. Why? You drive really well. I've been following you for such and such, waiting on you to make a mistake, and you never did. I'm like, okay, well, why did you pull me over? And usually you get a smirk because they know you caught them in a precarious situation. You didn't really have a reason to justifiably pull me over. You're admitting. But anyway, some of them will make something up like, well, back there I clocked you at so-and-so, and I'm that person. If I was, and I know I wasn't doing it, you're not going to tell me I was doing it. I will argue it. And I'm not going to be respectful and calm-toned and mannered. I'm not going to get belligerent, call them names or anything like that. Like I said, I had a cop for a dad, so he taught me how to, you know, stand up for myself, but respectfully, so I don't uh, escalate the situation needlessly. You still get those arrogant cops. It's usually young ones that are fresh out the military, you know, rookies just starting out, trying to make a name for themselves. That actually hurts their ego. They take it as you challenging their authority or, you know, whatever, if you stand up for yourself or assert yourself in any way and don't basically bow down and do exactly what they say. I've had bad experiences just rightfully standing up for myself in situations like that. But I've always come out on top by the time we got to court, you know, and the whole story comes out and they have to admit that, yeah, they said that or whatever. And judge is like, nah, we're going to call this nolo contende, which means in Latin, no contest. And they throw the case out. It's happened so many times to me. And that's by having a dad that took the time to teach us, you know, if you are actually doing the, let's see, his famous words were, if you dance to the music, you pay to the piper. So if you're doing wrong, then you stand up and be a man or a woman in my sister's case, but she don't ever get in trouble because she don't do anything. For me, it was always mainly just, you know, a speeding ticket. But, you know, if you're doing wrong, be a man and stand up and take it. But if you're not doing wrong and you know you're not doing wrong and they're trying to accuse you of doing wrong, you know, how to respectfully stand up for yourself, even if it means that they have to go ahead and, you know, you let them arrest you, because then you're going to get them for false imprisonment and false arrest. You know, it's just, it only benefits you, and not to resist it, or definitely not to, as I was saying, ever flee from the police, because I've known from before I got a driver's license how stupid that is, because it adds you automatically get a felony. And having a dad that, here's another interesting fact, shot competition rifle and pistol, both in the military and on police. Like in the military, he did 1,000-yard open sight, like iron sight, no scope, with a M1 Garand, and had just metal after metal after metal. Same with the pistols, but not 1,000 yards, but just metal after metal after metal. Anyway, having a dad that raised us around guns and taught us gun safety and a passion for firearms. I'm sorry, I do have that because I had that in my childhood growing up, you know, and shooting targets and stuff. That was fun to me. Hunting as well, you know, I hunt for meat. I don't hunt for sport or the biggest rack or whatever. I hunt for meat. I fish for meat. I'm not trying to catch the biggest fish and mount it on the wall. I have no mounts of any, even the horns that I've cut off of the male buck, which I've only killed a handful, less than 5 in my entire life, and I'll be 54 in next month. Anyway, I hunt for meat, so I usually kill does, big mature does that don't have youngins with them. You know, I'm always careful to wait it out to make sure no little ones come finally stepping out of the brush like, Mama, here I am. So I'm not taking any baby's mama from them. But I usually hunt does because deer hardly have any fat at all. I'm serious on them. Even big mature does that have had babies, they're the only ones that are going to have some fat on their hips and around their ribs, and it still isn't much. So usually if you make venison burger, you usually have to add fat to it, like either beef fat or pork fat from a butcher or something, a local place that cuts meat. Because there's just not enough fat in venison to do that, to make good quality hamburger or venison burger, whatever. It's funny they call it hamburger anyway when it comes from a cow, but whatever. Well, the music's back when I look this direction now. It's taken so long, it's going to be nighttime again or maybe 5 more night times of game before it ever bites a stupid worm. This is the part of this game that really started turning me and other, like all of my friends I met here. I met so many people in this game over the past year, it's ridiculous that I'm friends with online now. I'm not kidding, probably 30 people or more. But a lot of them stopped playing it just because they changed things. You know, it's supposed to be a game, so it's supposed to be fun. Doesn't mean you got to catch a fish every 10 seconds or every time you cast. But it shouldn't take this long, especially for a legendary fish. You're making me come to this spot to fish for this fish. Don't make it waste this much of my life, you know, to actually catch the thing. Shouldn't be like that. That and some of the other changes they implemented just really turned people off. One of my friends, well, actually, two of my friends just uninstalled it, and neither have actually put it back on. Well, yeah, the one did, but I don't think he's played it. He just put it back on the other night. Allegedly. That's why I can't say for sure because I haven't seen him play it. He hasn't played with me. But that's why he supposedly downloaded it, was to play with us again. So, but he was one of the main ones that was like, you know, nope, I'm just not interested in that game anymore. They changed this, that, and that, and it. I put up with it for as long as I could, and it finally just got on my nerves and like turns me off to it now. I get it. Some of that stuff I kind of feel that way about too, but not enough that I'm just going to stop playing it. I do like the game. And when you're not doing challenges and you're just out fishing for a certain kind of fish, you can usually catch them pretty regular. But it seems like they made it, you know, I guess to be more challenging and difficult when you're fishing for a certain species of fish or fishing for the legendary fish. They made it, you know, to where it takes longer to do so. Put it that way. And even when you've seen that, you know, 20 people have posted that a specific bait is what they used, and it was the same for all of them. I've had times where I come over and it was only with a different bait finally that I caught the stupid fish. It's like, really? Why? Why does that work for everybody else, but not for me? I went to get that intel to, you know, allegedly better my chances of success. And instead, what worked for everybody else just won't work for me. Time is it finally? Well, it is going back to evening. Where'd the music go? It was just playing. There we go. Go back to what I was told and just start jigging from when it hits. Almost 3.5 hours and I still haven't caught this fish. That's crazy. I started from the time I started this stream almost 3.5 hours ago trying to catch this fish. Still haven't. Kind of proves what I was just saying. That's almost half a work day that you've asked somebody to waste their time of and still haven't given them the fish. Yeah, I hear you, ice cream man. Wow. And now it's midnight. Didn't I just say it was quarter to 11? It was, because I said something about grandpa hour at 9:45 and it was an hour later at 10:47. Now it's midnight. How in the world? Stupid game, stupid fish. Hmm. I was getting a lot of force feedback vibration for some reason when I first started reeling. Maybe I dragged it across his head. And I say his because the storyline says it's more myrrh than maid. So, see, there we go with that gender confusion again. Kind of like the female catfish named Larry. Why couldn't you just say Mary? Or Sherry? Gary? Even Terry for short for Teresa. Come on, you stupid fish. I ain't falling for this trick. I'm starting to get tired again. I'm wanting to go make another espresso, and it's midnight, and it's like, no, we're not staying up all night. This fish will be here tomorrow. We can pick back up then. Stream's already 3.5 hours of literally nothing. Caught nothing. Talked a whole lot. Caught nothing. I've been thinking about starting a podcast like that anyway. It doesn't hurt to do it through what you enjoy, like the game and whatever, but doesn't mean you'll attract the right following either. Some people come to watch games for gaming. People listen to podcasts about that stuff for that stuff. But if you can find the happy medium or the people that are like minded in gaming, that feel this way you do about something, could be a good way to start anyway. I obviously have the gift of gab, so my neighbor says that all the time. It's like, you obviously haven't hung around me a lot because you act like you talk a lot, but I get told I do, so maybe he does as well. They're really good peeps too. I'm so glad they moved to the area. For a long time, I lived around a bunch of a-holes that were actively trying to run us out of here. Pretty much did run the ex-wife out of here. She was a city girl anyway, and came here and it was like, ooh, bugs, ooh, snakes, and then now, ooh, crazy redneck mountain people that are threatening. Where I'm the kind of person, like, I dig my heels in, like, oh yeah, show me, don't tell me, show me. Notice I ain't running, not even my mouth, like you. I've outlasted all the tough talk, in other words. They're all gone. Some people that have moved in are pretty cool, but they're kind of reserved, kind of like I am. But these ones I was talking about that moved in, he's very cool. I ain't had a friend like that in many years. All my best friends are dead. Back to what I was talking about hating heroin and all that earlier. A lot of them, unfortunately, chose that path in life and got addicted to it, and it took most of them. Actually, to be honest, all my closest, it took all of them. It was after doing that one more time, that they didn't come through it. But I hate the sin, not the sinner. I'm not mad at them. I know it was an addiction that they could not seem to overcome, but I ain't mad at them, in other words. I'm just mad that that stuff exists and people sell it and profit off of what ultimately ended up as the death of my friends, But yeah, I ain't had a friend like that in a long time, and thank God he doesn't do heroin. It was a lot of years, a lot of people might think that sounds cold, but it was a lot of years of, you trying to tell them the right thing and get them through it, help them out whatever way you can. Their family doing it, their family going as far as putting their property up, because they'd been in so much legal trouble to get them, a lawyer and through court and all that stuff, and just never seemed to learn the lesson, and that stuff had a hold of them in a very bad way. My very closest, I thought getting married would be the catalyst to help him stop, and it didn't. He went to prison again, after getting in trouble, and then I thought after having his son, who he clearly adored and looks so much like him, I really thought that would be the thing that broke it for him, and it didn't. It did for a while, a good while, and then he reverted, and it took him. But we did so much, man. Went to so many concerts, and just he was a good person when we became friends. He's one of the smartest people I ever knew. He graduated high school like a year and a half early because he completed all the courses. Like he was give me more, kind of person, intelligence wise. And it's just a shame that somebody that smart, wasn't able to see what that stuff was doing to him and overcome them, because his mind was definitely smart enough to do so. It was a physical addiction at that point. And definitely there's some mental in it as well because it changes their brain chemistry. But it's because of the physical addiction of the body thinking that it needs that. Oh, I'm sick. I'm sick. I need another bump or whatever they called it. I don't even know what they call it now. I don't care. I just remember hearing them say that, if I had a bump, I wouldn't be sick. And I'm like, dude, you're making excuses, man. It's okay to be a little sick for a little bit. That means your body's trying to get through it. And sometimes that would work for a while in the beginning, and then it just came to where it didn't. They didn't care what you said. They get mad at you if you wouldn't take them to get it. And I was that person. It's like, I'm not doing it. Ended up caving a few times when we were already downtown, but I was fussing about it the whole way there, the whole time during, and the whole way home. I was that person. I really was. I love you as a brother, and I know you ain't gonna stop, and I definitely ain't trying to get to where we ain't friends no more over this. So I'll take you to do it, a couple times in the initial stages. And then I just finally put my foot down to where I'm not doing it, and I stopped doing it. But they always found a way, if you want it bad enough, you're gonna find a way to do it or get it. Can only do so much to quote unquote help somebody before you realize that until they want to help themselves, it's futile. It's futile. It really is. Till they come to that realization for themselves and want to help themselves, it's a big waste of time because they're going to tell you they want to stop, anything to get through that scolding or trouble if they're actually in legal trouble at the time. Well, yeah, I want to quit. I'll go through rehab, and they will. Then they'll go right back to it. After years of that. I hate to say it, but you almost grow callous to it, to where, again, I don't hate them for it. I've heard it all before, so I don't believe you. You're my bro still, but, don't try to BS me, because you know that I know better. Another one of my guitar friends, that we played guitar. It was mostly him when I first started and growing up, that we used to get together and jam a lot. Could play almost every Metallica song. I definitely can play the rhythms all the way through, and he could play most of the leads almost like Kirk Hammett all the way through. Even at like 15, 16, 17 years old, he was a very talented lead guitarist. Well, I mean, he could play the rhythm too, but I'm just mean as far as leads that my fingers didn't have that dexterity, but he did. And he got so bad on it. I let him move up here, to stay with us for supposed to be just a couple weeks initially, to give him some work. I had a company of my own at the time, and he had convinced me that he stopped doing the heroin, and it didn't seem like he was for a while. I don't think he did for the first few days he was here, but the problem was he couldn't go from one job to the next. At that time, I was doing a lot of Amazon in-home services. Like if you bought a treadmill, we came over and assembled it. elliptical, trampoline, whatever, basketball goal, anything that was big items that you would buy from there that, maybe your typical homeowner, even if they did have the know-how, maybe they didn't have the tools, you know, to put something like that together. So that's what we were doing. But he couldn't go from one job to the next without, oh man, you think we can stop at the store? I can get a 40, man. It's like, dude, I can't take you in my customer's house smelling like beer. I don't smell like beer. I wouldn't be saying it if you didn't smell like beer because I already let you drink one this morning. Nobody has said anything yet, but that's the point is it can't get to where it becomes a problem and somebody's like, why does your coworker or your helper or whatever smell like alcohol in my house? And you just couldn't fathom that, I was being like that and wouldn't let it. I'm a grown ass man, well, act like one, know the difference between work time and playtime or relax time, whatever you want to call it, and drinking between the jobs ain't it, bro. You can't do that. This is my name and my reputation and my company name, and reputation. I can't have you doing that. And we had a little bit of falling out, and one day he didn't want to go to work, and it's like, oh, I'm supposed to leave you in my house, by yourself. My one dog didn't like him for some reason. I already said dogs and babies are the best judge of character, and I already knew that he wasn't the same person that, because it was already chemically changing his brain, and it had done drastic changes, like in his behaviors and actions. And anyway, he had fooled me pretty good, but ultimately, my wife, or ex-wife, but at the time wife, we live on dirt roads out here, and she's very anal about having a clean car. Like, she is constantly, it's kind of futile on the outside. Yes, you could get a car wash every day, and you could go 2 miles per hour, but you'll still be covered on the back glass and hatch of her Jeep and then Xterra with dust because it's a dirt road and it clings to the back. That's just the way it is. But she always kept the inside really clean. It had leather interior and all that. Well, when she had the Jeep and he was staying here, she went to clean the back seat, to wipe them down and everything. She reached to where the back of the seat and the seat part are, in between there to check for trash or anything. And man, she pulled out a hypodermic needle. And I'm going to tell you what, I almost went ballistic over that. If it hadn't had a tip, and she had jabbed herself, I'm afraid I might have went too far. I can honestly say that. I was that upset about it. She was quite upset too, obviously, but so in other words, not only had he lied to us that he wasn't doing it anymore, but he tried to sneak it, and when we gave him a ride up here, he had stuffed it, I guess, down in there and forgot. It's like, how high are you that you don't even remember where you stuffed your drugs? But anyway, I miss the both of them. I really do. I'd rather have my friends back than sit here and complain, about their addictions. But unfortunately, that's the reality of our society. And now it's a fentanyl thing. You hear of old people that somehow, whether it was prescribed or they just got curious or whatever, wanted to try it, and have gotten addicted to it. And some of them, have passed from it because that stuff kills people every day, just very small amounts of it. I can't believe it's in anything that you would be prescribed. If cops can touch it, and just get a micro powders on their finger and absorbed in their skin and die from it, Ooh, finally, we got him. But if cops can die from it like that, I can't believe putting it in any kind of medicine is actually good for you. What in the world? It doesn't seem like it would be. Well, at least we finally got this fish and the stream wasn't off or not. don't remember it being this tough the last time, but that's all right. 303 feet out. You only got 328 on there, so got to be careful here. Definitely one of the catfish, though, because they come swimming straight at you sometimes. Here it comes again. We'll do it for about 30 or 40 feet and then start, getting ready to tug. It came in about 50 feet that time, though. We were at 290 something. Almost 50 feet. Starting to wear down. I say that as he's yanking line out again. Oh, you are getting tired, though. You're not pulling the meter to 9 o'clock, on every tug like he was. They do get a second wind, though. I already know this. I remember catching, not this fish, because they didn't have Africa map or let alone the legendaries then, but like the biggest fish, call paw and spielfin on 30-some pound line, and, 22 and then 28 or something like that, or 27, whatever it is before that. Talk about literally taking 45 minutes of a stream to catch one of those fish. But having the patience and tenacity and playing the drag right to finally be able to do it. Of course, there were times when I had line snaps because I started hossing on the fish and being impatient, but and we're half the distance. We were at 300, if you remember initially. We're down to 154. 150 is half of that, so. Doesn't mean he won't run it out well over 200 again, because they do sometimes. But this 99-pound line's the difference. Not able to do it like with that 33 and even the 60 or 66. They'll take that right on out several times on you again. Makes it a long fight. Ooh, we're almost down under 100 now. It's all over but the crying now. Either yours or mine, because you broke my line. Where is this fish? Oh, you're over here. Why is it showing me looking the other way still? It's supposed to turn. He's about to pull the tip of my rod under the water. Yeah, here we go. Some of that renewed vigor. Pulling to the 9 o'clock position again. It's alright. Wear yourself down. I'm not going to panic or fight or hoss you in. I'm going to let you run a little bit. Ooh, you trying. It didn't take me this long the last time. That's alright, though. I got you. I told you it might go well over 200 again. He's working on it big time. Here we go. We had that thing down to 30 or 40. Whoa, feet. Easy on my drag there, son. Don't be stripping these cheap Chinese gears. Plastic. Plastic makes perfect. No, that's not how that saying goes. It must be that dude Tony leaving from catfishing down there. Here's something going through. It's almost 12:30 midnight. After midnight. Yep, that's him. I can tell by the way he's idling. A big old diesel Ford. He always goes slow and respectful, but it's just noisy because it's a big old diesel. He don't live here, but we don't. Or there's only one neighbor that fusses about him. He doesn't like him for some reason. That dude Tony has always been respectful. Doesn't leave trash. If anything, he picks up other people's trash. He's always improved. Like if the boat landing gets washed away, and the floods. Ooh, that was quick. And the floods and stuff, he'll fix it down there. Or pull trees that have fallen in the river when it's flooded and floated and got stuck there at where the creek comes out at the boat landing. He'll yank them or cut them with a saw. He's always been respectful, so I don't have any problem with that older man coming down here and catfishing. Who cares? Well, there it is, folks. Finally. 3 hours, 50 minutes, and 26 seconds into it. Dirty heifer. Alright. Well, we will pick up again tomorrow with the other. Level up. 1, 2, 3. We will pick up with the other legendaries tomorrow and the dailies and weeklies at the other locations. I do appreciate you joining. I hope you enjoyed that, even with all the blah blah for 3 hours and 50 minutes. But if you did enjoy it, please hit the like button on it so that we know that you like this content, and we'll continue to bring you more of it. I'm going to be fishing either way, but just lets me know that, this one might take priority over something else I play, like Red Dead or the hunting game, something like that. But do appreciate you joining. Hope to catch you on the next one. The Virginian out.